What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Flame Entertainment and Sports. It's your boy Rob here. Hope everyone's doing good out there. On today's show, as always, we're going to start off with some Dancing with the Stars talk, as we had the semifinals occur on Tuesday night. And in the sports world, we're going to bring out Paul. After a week off, we're going to get back into some college football talk, as you know, the season's winding down. 2 games left in the regular season. And, a lot's at stake for a lot of teams right now in order to, secure a spot in the new 12-team playoff format. So we had a fun time there. And as always, keep up with us on Instagram and TikTok at the flame_ES. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, like, comment on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Make sure to, subscribe on there as well. Any other podcast platform that you're listening on, make sure to subscribe, rate, review. It helps a lot, so I'd appreciate it. And, if you know any friends that you think would be interested in hearing about any of these topics, make sure to, send it their way. And yeah, now let's start off with some Dancing with the Stars talk. All right, guys, so to start off in the entertainment world, talking about the semifinal of season 33 of Dancing with the Stars. It was an amazing, semifinal. 5 amazing couples left in the competition, competing for the mirrorball trophy. And, now that we're winding down, the competition changes, the couples have to do more stuff in order to, compete for that Goodman Mirrorball trophy in the finale. With that said, this was the first episode this season that each couple had 2 dances. And, for one of their dances, it was a Latin style dance. And then for their other dance, it was a ballroom style of dance. The night started off with Chandler and Brandon. They danced the salsa. And I thought this was an amazing dance by Chandler and Brandon. Like, overall, from an entertainment perspective, I would have given it a 30 out of 30, perfect score. The reason I did it is actually I agreed with what Derek said, his comments after their performance, that there wasn't enough salsa content. And I agreed with him 1,000%. I feel like there are too many lifts for a salsa. Obviously, I'm not no expert or anything like that. But hearing Derek, because that's exactly how I felt. I was like, look, overall, this was an amazing, perfect, 30 out of 30. But from the style of dance specifically, I felt like more was like missing. And hearing Derek say that, I was like, damn, let's go. That was cool to hear. With that said, I gave him a 29 because, yeah, I just felt they were missing some more content, of salsa. And that they received a 29 from the judges. Carrie Ann and Bruno gave them 10s, but Derek gave them a 9. So it was really cool to hear Derek and, have that same opinion as him. Obviously, he's one of the biggest dancing experts in the world. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now we had my favorite couple of that night. They danced second, Joey and Jenna. They danced the foxtrot. And I thought this was arguably the best dance of the whole semifinal. They got a perfect 30 out of 30. And that's exactly what I gave them. Then Ilona and Alan went. They danced the paso doble. And we just keep seeing the growth of Ilona every single week. She keeps getting better and better, turning into a dancer. It's just amazing to see. All the work she's put in is really paying off. I thought this was arguably Ilona and Alan's best dance of the season. I gave them a 28 on this paso doble, and that's exactly what they received from the judges. And we had Danny and Whitney, who I would say last week, and in my eyes, was kind of a letdown for them. Last week, they've been such a great couple. I felt like last week I was kind of underwhelmed by them. But this week, I think they bounced back. They danced a Viennese waltz. I gave them a 29 out of 30. They received a 27 from the judges. So that's the first score of the night that me and the judges are on the same page. And then the final couple in that first round of dances was Steven and Riley. They had their Latin dance go first. And I thought they did a pretty good job. I would say from that first round of dances, it was the worst overall. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. It was kind of, a mediocre type of dance. And especially for the semifinal, I feel that it wasn't good enough for a semifinal dance. But thankfully, each couple had a chance to have basically a do-over, a second dance of the night. So thankfully, Steven and Riley had that opportunity. With all that said, I gave them a 25 on this Latin dance, and that's exactly what they received from the judges. Then we move on to the second round of dances on the semifinal night. And we had Chandler and Brandon once again go first. They danced a foxtrot this time around. I thought it was all right. Their first dance was so good, and then this one was, in my opinion, very underwhelming. And then I compared also like Joey and Jenna's Foxtrot was just elite. And then comparing this one to it, I was like it wasn't even close to what Joey and Jenna did. I don't know if I should judge it like that, but that's kind of how I saw it. And with that said, I gave Chandler and Brandon a 26. But fortunately for them, the judges thought better of it than I did, as they received a 29. Then we had Joey and Jenna do a paso doble. I thought it was another elite performance by this couple. I really enjoyed this paso doble. You see how much fun Joey and Jenna are having together, the chemistry, the connection they have as a partnership on this show. I think they're one of my favorite, couples of all time on this show. I gave them a 30. Unfortunately, they received a 28, which is still a great score. I didn't really understand it. Honestly, Derek gave him a 10, which to me speaks volumes. He's, I think, the one that's the most technical, most, consistent with that type of stuff. I think that's a good sign for Joey and Jenna. Then Bruno and Carrie Ann gave 9s. They both said that Joey was off timing for some reason. Derek didn't mention that at all. So that was interesting to see. But, I thought they did an incredible job. Then we had Ilona and Alan that did a Viennese waltz. And I thought their first dance was arguably their best of the season. Well, that one better move over because this second dance is even better, which is just mind-blowing to think about. They had their top 2 dances of the season, in my opinion, on this semifinal night. The perfect night to do it as the competition gets tougher. Ilona and Alan just continue to get better and better. I gave them a 29 on this Viennese waltz, and that's what they received from the judges. Then we had Steven and Riley dance once again. They danced a tango, and it was much improved in comparison to their opening number of the night, which was a Latin style dance. I thought this ballroom tango style of dance was an incredible bounce back performance for Steven and Riley. It showed their resilience, and it showed that this partnership believes in one another. They do not give up on each other. So I thought that was amazing to see. I gave them a 29, and they received a 28 from the judges. Then before the last couple, like right after Steven and Riley, Julianne had a dance with a bunch of the professional men on the show. And it was just amazing to see Julianne Hough dancing out there again. And she's still that superstar that we all grew up watching on this show for many, many years. So that was cool to see. But then the final couple of the night, we had Danny and Whitney. They did a salsa. And I thought they did a great job on this salsa. They attacked it from the beginning. They were all in from the jump. I wrote that down in my notes. You just saw this like passion and competitiveness in Danny's eyes. And I thought they did a great job. I gave them a 29. They received a 27 from the judges. Then for the elimination on this was the first episode this whole season that I couldn't just pick one couple as my predicted couple to go home. I ended up putting Steven and Riley or Chandler and Brandon. I just felt it was going to be one or the other. But I couldn't pick, for the first time, I couldn't pick one. And, it kind of worked out as there were no eliminations on this semifinal. So all of these 5 amazing couples will have a chance, to compete in that finale for the Len Goodman Mirrorball trophy. But yeah, another amazing episode of season 33, Dancing with the Stars. Next week, 2 nights before Thanksgiving, that Tuesday night, we'll have, the season finale, which is crazy to think about. Time flies. It's been one of the best seasons in the history of the show, in my opinion. It's been so competitive. Obviously, the viewership's been amazing. A record amount of votes coming in. So I'm just super happy for Dancing with the Stars. It's been such a successful, season. And I know it's going to end up, being an amazing finale. And as I said last week, I think each of these couples has a chance to win. But in my opinion, I'm going to say it now, my prediction, I think Joey and Jenna will be the season 33 champions of Dancing with the Stars. And that would make Joey the first ever Bachelor to win. As we've had, a couple of bachelorettes win, like, Melissa Rycroft. We've had Caitlin Bristol, Hannah Brown. But I think Joey will make history as the first Bachelor to win Dancing with the Stars with his partner, Jenna Johnson. But yeah, super excited, to watch that finale. Next week, we're not going to have any episode talking about the finale. Due to Thanksgiving, we're going to be playing an interview that I recorded a couple weeks ago, which was really cool. Excited for you all to see it. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. So my thoughts on the finale are going to come out a week late. They'll come out in 2 weeks. But I just wanted to kind of put a heads up out there for those of you who've been listening or who, want to listen to that finale episode, which, like I said, I'll be giving my thoughts on that in 2 weeks rather than next week. If anything changes, keep up with us on Instagram, and I'll post any message. If I do decide to, maybe I'd throw like a mini episode next week, just giving my quick thoughts on the finale. But yeah, stay locked into the flame_es on Instagram. And yeah, make sure to tune into that finale next Tuesday night on ABC and Disney Plus at 8 o'clock. I think it's a 3 hour finale. All the couples of this season will be there. A lot of past pros, a lot of former contestants were in the audience for the semifinals, so I could only imagine how cool that's going to be for the finale. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my talk on the semifinals of season 33 of Dancing with the Stars. And now let's get into some college football talk with Paul. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Rob here. On here with Paul. After a week off, we have some college football talk for you guys again. So, what's up, Paul, man? Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Rob. You had to miss me last week for some unforeseen circumstances, but I'm glad to get back into it. It was a good week for my Gators, but it's just it's starting to wrap up. It's crazy. We're already like 10 games in for most of these teams, so now we can actually start talking about playoff implications that actually matter, like not just some speculation in the preseason. We actually have rankings and paths and either to the playoff or not, or teams that have absolutely no shot. So I'm ready to get right into it.
Nah, let's do it, man. Yeah, like you said, big win for the Gators, man, against LSU. Some local talk. Yeah, like the Gators' big win. And you guys have Ole Miss, and then Miami. I didn't cover it last week. We suffered our first loss 2 weekends ago, the Georgia Tech, and we were off. We had a bye week, and now we come home for our, senior day against Wake Forest, and yeah, that's kind of what's going on, with, like the local teams. But yeah, as far as the college football playoff, like Miami, we after the Georgia Tech loss, we fell down 5 spots to number 9. Now we moved up 1 spot to number 8 in our bye week. But yeah, man, what like stands out to you the most about like these brand new rankings for this week?
Yeah, you hit on some good things. We'll talk about Miami in a little bit, but what sticks out to me the most for sure in these rankings right now is the inconsistency in criteria. That's number one. Number two, branding. Do not branding, like just brand of these teams is dictating so much. And I say that as like an SEC guy. It's not just the SEC; it's also the Big Ten and whatnot. But if you look at Texas, everyone's talking about Texas right now because people talk about Indiana and whether they deserve to get in or not. We'll talk about that. But Texas has a very unimpressive resume. Their best win that they can hang their hat on is at Vandy. They won by 3 points, which Vandy's a good team. They were hot at that point too. It was impressive. Don't get me wrong. But that's their win to hang their hat on, like a 6-3 team, in the middle of the SEC, and then they beat Arkansas. Other than that, they got whooped by Georgia at home, and that's kind of it. And they're Texas.
Yeah.
I don't really get it. Like, why are they the third? Are they the third best team in the country? Probably not. Do they have the third best resume? Definitely not. But at the end of the day, if they beat Texas A&M in the last week of the season, and then they're probably in the playoff even if they lose the SEC championship game. Let's be honest. But if they lose that game and they don't go to the SEC championship game, I don't even know if they should get in.
Yeah.
Why should they? I don't think they should, unless other teams, fall and there could be chaos. Sure, but they lose that game. What justification do you have other than the fact that they're Texas? They went to the playoff last year. They have a good team. Like, sure, they have a good team, but is their resume good enough to make it in with that loss? If they win, if they beat, like I said, if they do what they're supposed to do, they'll get in, and we won't have to worry about this. But I think they're at number 3 right now, just like to set them up to get in no matter what, which I think is dumb. Because if they lose that A&M game, they might drop a few spots, but they probably they'll be sitting at home letting chaos happen, and they'll probably still make it, which I think is not right because there's other teams that have, to this point at least, earned that spot.
Nah, I agree, man. I think that's such a great point. Like the brand, like the big name brands, getting some favoritism. I think that's always like been an issue throughout the whole college football playoff, like ever since it started. the 14 playoff. Like I've always felt like a couple. There's been years where you're just like, oh, these people made it in because they're a bigger name. The school that comes to mind, like not to call them out, but over the years for me was always like Notre Dame. I'm like, oh, of course they're gonna make it in and gonna get smacked up in the in the opening game. It was always kind of, I don't know, but whatever, it is what it is. But you're right, like it's sad that it's still happening though. I was hoping with like 12 teams that like they would find a way to not continue doing that, but I guess like they're gonna keep doing it that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's frustrating, and it's funny you bring up Notre Dame. I wanted to talk about them. We talked about them weeks ago in the show, saying that they're a sneaky team. They have a no one's talking about them, but they're in the top 10, and they look good. They've been looking great since the NIU loss, which is a bad loss, obviously, but they've been taking care of business. They control their own fate, right? Because let's be honest, if they're 11-1, they should be in. I think most of us can agree on that. At this point in the season, with all the 2 loss teams that there are out there, and they don't have a conference championship game. With that being said, though, they're ranked 6th, and SMU is ranked 13th. They don't technically play in the ACC, but Notre Dame basically plays a very similar schedule to SMU. But their loss was to NIU, and SMU's loss was to BYU in a really close game, who's ranked number 14 right now. Not NIU. Most people don't know where Illinois is on the map. People in Florida at least probably won't know that as much, but it's kind of crazy to me. I don't understand why that is if it's not just for brand. Like, what are you going to tell me? Like, what stat points can you tell me? Like, oh, Notre Dame is absolutely deserving to be 8 spots ahead, or what is it, 7 spots ahead of SMU? Like, I don't know. The pony logo isn't as relevant as the ND logo, I guess. So that's all I could really say right now.
I think you hit it like 100% right. It's all about the brand. That's like a perfect example. Like it's Notre Dame again, getting that opportunity because they're a big name. And yeah, like it makes no sense to me that how is SMU not in the top 12 right now? I don't get that. And what you just said, both of those schools, each of their losses, like how in the world is Notre Dame's loss not worse than SMU losing, like you said, in a close game to BYU, who's ranked 14th? Like it makes zero sense at all. Like from a common sense standpoint, it makes absolutely zero sense at all. But like I've said, like there's always weird stuff going on with this like college football playoff committee over the years, So like unfortunately, it doesn't shock me that this is the way they're ranking. But I was hoping for a change this year, but I guess my hopes were not true. I don't know.
Yeah, the criteria has never been consistent. I don't know why people expected it to stay consistent because they just tend to change it. Like, the whole thing with FSU was like a whole ordeal last year, right?
Yeah.
And they pivoted, and I don't. After that, I don't know how you could put faith in that body, like that committee or whatever, the body of people that there are there. So it's frustrating, and it seems like they don't like to be too direct with us for that reason, so that they can change their mind later on. They've done that before.
Yeah.
But it's the system we have right now. The 12-team playoff is only for now in effect this year and next year, and then after that we'll see what they end up going with. But yeah, it's been interesting to see. I wanted to ask you though, what you thought about Indiana. They have that game coming up with Ohio State this week, which is supposed to be, is it this week? I want to say, I'm almost positive. I thought it was. Let me double check.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, it is this week. Yeah.
Okay.
It's on Fox, noon game, of course. So that's like 2 versus 5 in Columbus, Ohio. It's going to be a huge deal. What do you think? Who do you think's going to win, first of all? And then other than that, like if Indiana loses, are they out of the playoff completely?
Okay, it's tricky. If they lose, they get it's their first loss and against Ohio State, who's ranked number 2 right now.
They're 2,
So
yeah.
so I don't know. To me, they shouldn't just completely drop out. Like I get it. I know that they haven't had the toughest schedule in the world. if it's their only loss, and then they finish, their last game against Purdue. I mean, it'll be kind of hard to leave them out. But with that said, like, I do think they have a shot to win. I know you've told me that a lot of times they focus really on the run. They run the ball a lot. They have a good defense. I think to me, if a team's able to do that consistently, you have a shot against any opponent. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, what do you think? Like, what do you think that game's gonna be like?
I think. Well, let me just ask you this. Okay. So if they lose a close game, like let's say just like a field goal game, then I think that they absolutely deserve to be in the conversation. But if they
Okay.
get beat, the spread right now I think is like 12 points or something like that in Ohio State's favor. If they lose by 2 touchdowns or more, what does that change your opinion?
Man, it's like tricky. I I feel like it'll also depend on like how other teams do too. You know what I'm saying? How the other
Right.
teams that are ranked right now.
That's fair.
Um, yeah, it's tricky, man. I could see the argument for people being like, yeah, if they get killed, they don't deserve to make it. They lost to their toughest opponent by a lot. So it's like tricky, man. I'm kind of like 50-50 on it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's unfortunate, man, because they're in the Big Ten, but their strength of schedule is horrible.
yeah.
They're of the real playoff contenders like that. I have a list here. Their strength of schedule in the country, Indiana's at least, is 106 right now.
Oh, damn.
106, and the the next team is like in the 50s.
Wow.
The next worst strength of schedule of those contenders I'm talking about is in the 50s. So they're 50 places worse than that, and they're in arguably the first or second, depending on what you think, best conference in the country. Yet they just got a bad draw. We talked about on this show that they've been destroying those teams, so they've not just been squeaking by like maybe even like a BYU has been doing, but they've been soundly beating guys. The thing is, like, how does it matter if they can't play with the big boys though? You know what I mean? Should they do they deserve to be in the playoff? I don't know. If they get smoked, then I might be like, I don't know. I don't know if they're the same caliber. They've just been beating up on some lesser opponents. But if they obviously if they win, they win. We don't have to talk about this. I think they have a definite shot at that. Like you said, if they play their game and if they shut down Ohio State's run game, then they have a legit shot. But it's not going to be easy. So it's weird. It's an interesting situation they're in because it's um, if they lose, they'll probably be out of the conference championship game. So they most likely will be. So they won't be able to redeem themselves, basically.
Yeah. So after what you said there, with like their strength of schedule and everything, yeah. Honestly, now what I'll say, it kind of sounds like this is it for them. This is like their shot. If that makes sense. It kind of feels like if they win, they're in. Whatever, and then they have Purdue, and they go to the conference championship. But if they lose, after what you just said, like the caliber of opponents they've had, then it's like I understand people being like, nah, man. Like, look, their first like tough matchup, they couldn't even freaking compete with those guys. Like, how the hell? How do you expect them to do anything in the playoffs? So yeah, what
Right.
I would say after what you just said, because you gave good like information there. Yeah, this is like their kind of their I don't know, you could call it like their Super Bowl, or it's like kind of like do or die for them. This matchup, and honestly, though, I'd be like super happy if they beat Ohio State. I think that'd be an incredible story. So it's been an incredible season, regardless how it ends. For Indiana, one of the best stories I think in all of college football.
For sure.
But yeah, man, you gave some good information. So yeah, I think this is it for them.
Yeah, this is like their conference championship because even if they win this game, they play Oregon, and if they lost that game, I think unless they get like 50 pieced, which I don't think would happen if they beat Ohio State.
Yeah,
Um, I don't think that would happen, but they would probably make it somewhere in the playoff if that were the case, right? So this is their shot, like you said. This is it because they probably won't be able to redeem themselves. They'll still get a great bowl game or whatnot, but we'll see. Um, it's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out.
not for sure, for sure. A lot of drama is gonna go on, these last couple of weeks, which is always like fun. It's an added bonus to watching football. Like all these freaking rankings and more teams in the playoffs now, it's all gonna be freaking insane.
Yeah, yeah. I could like bring up what the current like projected bracket would be right now if you want to just
Not you.
uh, the four buys would be Oregon, Texas, Miami, and Boise State.
Wow.
Yeah, and then as it stands right now, let's just say all the like it just stays the way it is. Um, BYU would go to Columbus for a game. Then Alabama would go to Notre Dame. Georgia would go to Penn State, and then Ole Miss would go to Indiana. That's if this playoffs happen today.
Wow.
Uh, Pretty crazy stuff.
That sounds. I can't wait for those games, bro. Or like the you're able to play it in your home stadium in a playoff game. Like oh my gosh, that like atmosphere in all those places is gonna be incredible.
Oh my God, imagine, man. Especially like Penn State in winter, right? Like in December. What is that going to look like? I can't even imagine that.
Oh man, that sounds freaking. Yeah, that makes it even more exciting. That you could play. Like you have a chance to play a home freaking playoff game. Like wow,
Yeah,
it's like an
especially
added bonus. It's
up
pretty
north,
cool.
man. They're gonna have they might have an advantage, like Penn
Yeah,
State. Like
with the
imagine
weather. And shit. Yeah.
Georgia traveling there. Like I don't know. It could maybe it doesn't make a difference, but it could. You can't tell me that there's no chance it makes a difference. You know what I mean?
Not for sure. For sure. Like yeah, it depends on the team. Because some teams could just freaking find the way in any weather, but then some teams could be affected. But yeah, man. So yeah, let's dig in the rankings for a little bit. So yeah, like talk about a little bit. So like I said when we started this, we got our first loss a couple weeks ago against Georgia Tech. I want to give some quick thoughts on that game. It it's not the fact that that we lost that is the most disappointing thing. What I was disappointed with the most is that in my opinion, we were completely outcoached. Like their coaching staff completely outcoached us. And then at halftime, there was no adjustments, and specifically, like our defensive coordinator, he let me down because all Georgia Tech was doing was running the ball. They would switch their quarterbacks. They wouldn't really pass the ball. All they would do is run. And then I was like, oh, don't worry. Like at halftime, it's gonna be simple. Just adjust, like force them to pass, and I think we should be able to win.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't change anything, and we just let them run. And then offensively, like it wasn't like a bad showing. It was like compared to what we've done in other games, it was like I guess like mediocre or all right, but it wasn't bad. Like they did enough to win, but it was just a defense again, and yeah, we just got outcoached. Like I don't know what the hell. Even Cristobal, like the other head coach, freaking dominated. And but with that said, I am glad we had a bye week, have an extra week, to prepare for this, next game against Wake Forest. And they all I can say though, they better come out like firing on Saturday at noon here at Hard Rock, because if they start off slow, you're gonna hear the boos, from all our fans here in Miami, and they're gonna be understandable because coming off a freaking loss to freaking Georgia Tech, you had a whole extra week to prepare for Wake Forest, and you come out slow. That'll be like the worst possible scenario. But yeah, I just wanted to get some quick thoughts out there on Miami.
I think you hit the nail on the head, especially with the game on Saturday. They lost, right? So that should be a wake up call right there. Then they have a week for it to marinate. They have a bye, and they to get prepared for because they can't look ahead to Syracuse, to anyone right now, to SMU. They have to focus on everyone who's in front of them. And if they don't come out swinging, like playing their ball, dominating, then it's gonna not be best for morale. Just like you said, we're not only in the stadium but in the locker room, on the sidelines. That's not what they want. They want to be a cohesive unit. Um, dominate Wake Forest like they should, because they're
Yes.
vastly superior opponent to Wake Forest. And then Syracuse could be a challenge. So use this as a tune-up game, get right, and then go into Syracuse. I think it's in Syracuse, um, and that'll be the one that decides. Like you said, they control their own destiny. They just got to win the games in front of them, and they'll get into the playoff. So let's see what the coaching staff can whip up, because, like you said, they seem to be kind of like you know not being able to make those adjustments when they're very needed. So hopefully not many adjustments need to be made against Wake Forest, right?
Yeah,
Uh, but at the same time, get the team right, make sure that everyone's you know all geared up, ready to go.
not for sure, man. But yeah, that's pretty much yeah. We control our own destiny. And I think that's all you could ask for. Like as long as it's literally in their hands. All they have to do is win these final two games, and then they have a chance to make history for the program to compete. For their first ACC championship, which would honestly that'd be a freaking huge milestone for them to accomplish. And even Cristobal, 3 years in, if he's able to do that, I think that speaks volumes. As to what he's done already, and then it excites you even more for the future. It's like, damn, 3 years in and he did this. Like, what else is gonna come? So
Yeah.
it's crazy. I just got goosebumps like saying that because like regardless, like I said, we were out coached, but I'm still like with Cristobal, man. I'm just like so happy for him. And I'm impressed by him, but I'm not surprised because I've always loved him. Like I know he's the guy. Like he's that guy we needed. But
Yes.
yeah, I'm just like so happy for him, man. Finally, see him getting. Obviously, we're coming off of a loss, so it's not the perfect time. But like overall, I'm just like happy, man. With Cristobal, and just like it's cool to see him being talked about and getting his, some well deserved credit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully they can keep it going, man. Georgia Tech's not a sorry team. The record won't show that, but they have a pretty solid team. They've had a pretty good season, and they got Haynes King back for that one. So it was a tough spot to be in. But they that's all in the past, all in the rearview mirror. They just need to focus on what's ahead.
Not 100%. But yeah, man, you want to talk some Gators, bro? Coming off of big win against LSU, and now you have a chance to spoil Ole Miss this season too. So how's that? How's it feeling to be a Gator right now?
It feels awesome, man. It's really exciting stuff. I'm really happy for Billy Napier, like you were talking about for Cristobal. I think he's been
Yeah,
doing a fantastic job as of late, and since that UCF game, the defense has flipped some type of switch, man. The UCF game, they were one of the I think the number two rushing offense in the country, and we shut their offensive. Their running down so bad. It was insane. Like I haven't seen a performance like that from us in a while, and since then, aside from that Texas game, which I have, we were just like half our team was on a stretcher for that game, but other and like the Georgia game, our defenses looked great, but it looked so good against LSU. Man, they went to. I think they had. I don't remember the stat. There was three drives that they had. They were all like 6 or 7 minutes long. LSU, and they out of those three drives they had 6 points.
wow,
So LSU's time of possession was like 40 minutes. The Gators was
yeah,
like 20, and they scored 16 points. Like those three drives combined like 20 minutes,
wow,
um, and they got 6 points out of it. So that out of the whole, and we had the like let's say that's their six, and we had the ball for 20. That we had 27. So
wow.
um, I think that's right there. Like tells you who won that game. But I think they did a fantastic job playing their style. DJ Lagway is the future.
Let's
He's
go.
so exciting to watch, man. He has the prettiest deep ball I've ever seen a quarterback, much less a freshman quarterback throw. He's special, and you know who also knows how special he is? Is these recruits, man. Because we've gotten a few flips, a few commitments since that LSU game. Because they and I really do think that they see him and they want to play with him, man. Then it's not just him. There's other receivers and other guys on the field like Jaden Ball, another freshman getting it done. He had that huge 55-yard touchdown to cap the game and put these guys out of their misery. Um, but
Yeah,
it's really exciting times in Gainesville. Even though we're 5-5, you can hate all you want. I think there are good things ahead, and I'm glad people are starting to trust the process a little bit. It's not always going to be an overnight thing to get to where we want to be, but little by little, people are starting to realize we might be a problem next year, and Lord knows, who else steps up, and if we can have a healthy season, it'd be awesome. But in the meantime, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Obviously, we have Ole Miss coming in, and we could spoil their season now too. I think they're ranked like eighth or ninth maybe 10th. But yeah, they're ninth.
Oh, yeah, ninth.
They still have some, a path to the playoffs. They're in the driver's seat. They're in position to do that, but they can't overlook us. They have to come to the swamp. This is a huge game for both coaches. There's been so much talk this offseason of Lane Kiffin to Florida and Napier's job and stuff. If he beats him, like he's really got it secured for at least another year and some change. If he could pull this off, man, it'd be two huge home wins back to back. The energy around the program would be unbelievable, and then we'd be going into Tallahassee the next week, which we should win just statistically.
Yeah,
I know it's a rivalry game, but we should win that game. So the focus is all on now. Ole Miss is probably one of the most underrated teams in the country. They have a real good defensive line. We know their offense could be explosive. Lane Kiffin could drop some really good plays. So let's see how our defense not only comes out, but how they respond. Um, but this is a hard game to predict, man. It's like one of those things I could see us winning by like a touchdown or three touchdowns. I could see us like just coming out and like, I don't know, just destroying them. And I could also see them just curb stomping us by 30. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
uh, and everything in between. There's not anything. Oh, sorry, my dog's barking. I wouldn't put a dime of money on this game. I don't think you should either because this is it's like one that we have no idea.
Nah, you're good, man. But yeah, no, I think what's so exciting, like you were saying, like all these, recruits flipping to you guys, it speaks volumes because yeah, Lagway is so damn good in a short amount of time. Like he's shown how special he could be. Like it looks like the start to a special type of career. And not for sure, man. Even when you think of the transfer portal, like I wouldn't be shocked if like next year you guys could get some veteran, receivers or tight ends or something that want to play with him. They're like, oh, bro, look at this guy. Like this guy's the real deal. He's like a Heisman type of quarterback, and the Gators are gonna give me a chance to win. Maybe I should go over there. So I could really see that happening, like little by little. Even the transfer portal, bro. Like I think you guys could win on there as well.
Yeah, we're on watch to flip a 5-star receiver from Oregon right now.
Let's go.
And
Wow.
that'd be huge. There was a lot of official visits for the LSU game. Better believe there's going to be a lot for this one too. So the swamp is going to be going crazy. It's going to be rocking.
Not for sure. That atmosphere is gonna be amazing. But yeah, bro, it's amazing. Yeah, just to say it's kind of random, but like Ole Miss, right? I gotta give you credit. And like for those of you who have been like watching or listening, you've been like mentioning them, a couple of times here on the show. And I think they've shown they're one of the best teams in the country. So I know that's kind of random, but I gotta like give you that credit, bro, because you've been saying it the last couple of times we've recorded. So I think it's pretty cool.
I appreciate that.
Not for sure, bro. But yeah, man. What? Okay, let me see what else in the rankings here, like stands out to you. I know before we recorded, we kind of touched quickly on like Alabama. Like you said, they just beat Mercer. I think you said, and somehow they moved like ahead of Miami. Which for me, I'm like whatever. We just gotta win out, and it's all good. But like it doesn't really make sense. Like from a I don't know a logical standpoint, I guess you could call it. It's kind of confusing. But like I said, for me, I'm like whatever. We just gotta win. But yeah, what's your take on Alabama getting that, like moving up somehow? I don't know after beating Mercer. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
the word I would give it, Rob, is unnecessary, because the committee, like I said, is kind of ranking teams based on what they expect to happen, and they probably expect Alabama to likely make the SEC championship game at this point. And if they win, then they absolutely deserve to get a bye and be highly ranked despite having two losses. It'll be
yeah,
impressive no matter what, no matter whether it's A&M or Texas or whoever. Um, but and the same thing with Miami. Miami, they're kind of like, oh, who cares if we drop if Alabama jumps them, because if they take care of business, then they'll get in. But
yeah,
it creates a weird dynamic that's like, okay, so you're setting me up I know I control my own destiny, but if you set me up in a certain way, then what if Alabama doesn't even play in the SEC championship game? There's a way for that to happen, right?
yeah.
then what? Then they're like guaranteed a spot in with the way things are set up. You know, they're giving them a nice like entryway, and then Miami is the opposite. If they
Yeah,
lose the ACC championship, um, they're likely to drop out.
yeah,
Um, you know, so it's interesting. Um, like you said, it was a game against Mercer of all teams. Mercer like has a I'm sorry, a good record, but like they're like an FCS opponent, so I don't really see it.
got you. Yeah, no, I just wanted to get your take on that because yeah, like you mentioned it to me before we were recording. I was like, damn, I didn't even realize who Alabama had beat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Anything else in the rankings like that stands out to you? Oh, obviously, yeah, like BYU. They got their first loss of the year against Kansas. That was like a big deal. You have teams like South Carolina that keep getting better. It seems like Colorado is another team that's kind of hot right now and surging, and they're doing it kind of in a quiet way. Like they're just like showing it on the field, not really showing off of the field. Does that make sense? So those are a couple of teams that stand out there. But yeah, what are your takes on like those teams or any other team that out of the top 12? I guess. Like,
No, real quick, BYU did get the Miami treatment. They were kind of like, getting close games, and they were waiting, sneaking by, and they finally lost to a opponent people, considered inferior, and they got dropped a lot. So they still control their destiny. They have a tough game at Arizona State this week, um, and then they can, go to the Big 12 championship and probably face Colorado and win. But the team that I think no one is talking about, and I don't really know why, is Texas A&M,
oh
because they still have a very clear path to get into the playoff because if they just they take care of business against Auburn this week, which they should, and then they have Texas at home night game to finish the season. If they win that game, they're in the SEC championship game.
yeah,
Um, and if and it's one of those things, Rob. If they beat number three Texas, right, then what are they going to jump up to? They better be ranked high, right? I don't care. You know,
yeah,
I might have Texas ranked somewhere else, but you guys have them at three. So if
yeah.
they beat the number three team, they should jump up a lot, right? Then you can't tell me after the fact, like, oh well, Texas was actually kind of frauds, like they didn't actually
Oh
have a
hell
good game.
yeah,
Like, don't give me that now, right? After they got exposed by A&M,
yeah,
if that happens, right?
yeah,
So, so if A&M wins that game, especially if they win it soundly, and let's say they lose the SEC championship game, they might still get in.
yeah,
So I think that they're not being talked about enough. They have a good team. They Marshall Reed at the helm. They had a tough loss recently that I think people kind of wrote them off after that loss, the one against South Carolina. South Carolina's a good team, but they got manhandled. I'm not gonna lie. So let's see. They bounced back against New Mexico State and Auburn. A couple tune-up games versus Texas. So that's the team that I have my eye on, and I've been having my eye on for a few weeks now. I don't think they're getting enough attention, which might be a good thing, but we'll see.
yeah. It might be good for them to kind of just like be under the radar and just keep winning. But nah, it's an interesting point. Yeah, no, like what? Yeah, it sounds super possible. They could be the SEC champions, honestly.
Yeah,
Um,
we're not. I
Another
mean,
team
still get in. Yeah.
I forgot to mention, like the 12 team, the final team in the playoff right now, Boise State. Just a little random note. I think I sent you the video the other day, and it's kind of going viral. Like of Ashton Genty, that his favorite NFL team's the Dolphins. I don't know, just wanted to throw that in there. Thought that was pretty cool. I was like, oh crap. I think that'll be you add him in here with Devon Achan and Jalen Wright, and because Mostert. I don't know how much longer he has here, but imagine Achan and Genty as like a duo here with the Dolphins. I think that'd be freaking incredible.
Hey man, Genty's from Jacksonville.
I know. I didn't know he was from Florida, and but yeah, I just wanted to mention that really quick because I know it's been like going viral, like a clip of him talking about the Dolphins as his favorite team. But
That would be
uh,
cool.
it's interesting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's interesting to see where they have them ranked. Too. I know we've been talking about rankings for a long time, but like the whole show pretty much. But
Yeah,
um, it doesn't seem like they're going to let them really break through that number 12 spot unless a lot of teams just go into chaos. Uh, they just kind of like have them like there almost like just in case, kind of like all right,
got you.
like you don't really need to be any higher than that, so we'll just leave you here for now. Which is like okay, we'll see. Um, everything is going to play itself out. But it's fun to talk about these scenarios, but sometimes it's like, all right, like the committee kind of sets you up for failure sometimes or success.
That's true. That's a great point. But yeah, anything else, man, you want to talk about in the rankings?
Yeah, real quick, we don't have to talk about it. Not Ole Miss. I'm sorry, Missouri, Illinois, get them out of there. They're just there to beef up Big Ten and SEC resumes. They don't deserve to be ranked right now. I'll be honest with you. I'm sorry, they don't.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because I don't think I've noticed that in the past, but it makes sense. They're trying to help certain schools like look good. Like
Yeah,
you brought it up to me before we recorded. I've never noticed that. Maybe I have. I don't remember, but I think that's super messed up by the committee to be doing that. That's like it's like unnecessary, and it just like it ruins it for college football.
yeah,
It's
and
not it's not right.
it's not right. Yeah, and if you look at the team, one of the teams we haven't talked about is Penn State. They're four. Why are they four? They have basically the same exact, like not same exact, but like you could talk about them like you talk about Indiana. They didn't really play anyone great, even though they're in the Big Ten. They haven't played any powerhouses. They lost to Ohio State at home, um, and but they still ranked in front of Indiana, right? And their only game, I guess, that they can hang their hat on their win is Illinois, and they just stuck them in the number 25 spot. Like for what reason? I
That's
don't
a
know.
great point, man. I meant to ask you about Penn State because like I, I don't know. They haven't sounded like super impressive. Like I don't know. I don't think they're as good as their ranking says they are. So I'm glad you brought them up because I think still to this day, I think it's kind of been the issue for years. Like their offense just isn't really that good. I like for how many years in a row, and then somehow they're always like ranked up there, and then they usually lose a big game. Like you think of James Franklin, like not to take anything away from him, but usually the big games, Penn State never comes through.
Yeah, it's true, man. They beat the teams they are supposed to, and they lose to the teams uh, that they're supposed to. That's just who they are. They're a good
Yeah.
team. They're you might say I would say actually they're a great team. Are they an elite team? No, they're not an elite team because they can't beat elite teams. So you can't tell me that they're elite. But are they one of the 12 best teams in the country? Probably.
Okay,
Um, are
gotcha.
they in the top 5 or 6? No, I don't think so. I think they would lose to Ole Miss and Georgia, and I mean Alabama. Even I think Miami would give them a run for their money. Notre Dame. I'm not saying these are all absolute, and like these are just this is speculation here, right?
No,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, it's one of those things that they're in the driver's seat to make. They probably have this one of them in Oregon, probably the safest routes right now to the playoff is them too because they really like don't need to do much else. Like Oregon is pretty much in already at this point. Like no matter what happens from now on, they're pretty much in. And then Penn State has Minnesota and Maryland. Like if they win both of those games, which they should, then
yeah.
they're in. Like they're in. Why? How could they drop out? It's almost impossible. They might drop a couple spots, but they'll probably host a playoff game to the point that they released. I don't know if you saw this, like emails to their season ticket holders about reserving gate tickets to their playoff game. Like they're already planning their playoff game.
Wow. Yeah,
So it's like kind of insane, but that's just the world we live in.
not for sure. But yeah, man. Anything else in college football, bro? That you want to give some thoughts on? Like any games this weekend or anything like that?
Any games this weekend? Obviously, we talked about, like Ohio State, Indiana. We talked about that one. I mentioned BYU, Arizona State. It's definitely a big game. I think people are overlooking a little bit because it has a lot of Big 12 implications. But Arizona State's been hot. Um, talked about Ole Miss, Florida. Other than that, there's like not too many other games on my radar. Colorado versus Kansas.
No,
You mentioned Colorado. I don't know if you want to talk about that. Kansas just upset BYU, so like another Big 12 implication game right there.
no, that's a good one to bring up because yeah, like you said, Kansas just upset BYU, and how I think like usually how this goes, I feel like coming off of an upset like that, especially a team that had what 3 wins like Kansas, they're either gonna like upset Colorado by single digits, or Colorado's gonna just like destroy them by 20 to 30 points. I think it's gonna be one way or the other. Uh, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that Colorado's going to take care of business. But I do think Jalen Daniels and their run game of Kansas looked good last week. they're one of those teams that they're 4-6, but they have a lot of close losses, so they're not a bad team. It's in Kansas, but um, I'm just curious to see when one of these Heisman frontrunners is going to have their moment, and I'm wondering if it's this week. It's going to have to happen soon. Is it going
Yeah.
to be this week for Travis Hunter or for Ashton Genty or whoever it is? But this would be a good spot to do it in because their season's riding on it, and it's going to be. It's going to be, bro. If you don't think Kansas is going to go crazy, their crowd is going to be nuts for that game, you're wrong. They'd love to spoil Deion's parade. They'd love to.
Not for sure. That's a great point you make with like all the Heisman candidates. You're right, and you're kind of running out of time. Your season's kind of on the line for your team, so you gotta step up, make those big Heisman type moments or plays. But yeah, really quickly, since we're talking Colorado. What do you think other reports about the possibility of like Deion Sanders and Shador like ending up together in the NFL, like with the Cowboys? Fucking
Oh,
Jerry Jones, bro.
they're ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think he shot down some of those rumors. He said something about staying with Colorado, but if that were to happen, it'd have to happen like down the line, like years down the line. Uh, it's always, but the thing is, you can't like nothing is out of the question for those guys, man. Like you know what I mean? Like wherever it takes him, it will, and like everyone will follow. And it's kind of like showbiz, in a way. It's not even. It's sports, obviously, but sports is in the entertainment industry, right? They fall very well into both of those guys because we all know Deion's been like you know like a kind of a star in his own way, like
yeah.
pop star of sports in a way. But
Now the only team that will do that though is literally Dallas because Jerry Jones, like he's the only person in the NFL that would consider that. You know what I'm saying?
for
he,
for what
he
for whatever that's
uh,
worth, yeah.
like I could do, I don't know, 3 hour podcasts like every day about Jerry Jones, man. He's something else.
His
But
documentary is gonna be crazy one day. It's gonna be crazy.
um, I know someone put out a tweet yesterday about Shador. I hadn't noticed this, but supposedly every time the Raiders have like lost the game this year, immediately Shador's tweeted like "Thank you, God." And
Yeah,
I was like, bro, it's so random. Like these guys are hilarious. Like it's just like you said, they're entertainers. Like not just like football players and football coaches. I think they like all the drama.
of course they do, and they thrive on it. That's fine. We have to have people like that, but I'd like the Raiders to get him. Actually, I think they'd be a good fit.
Nah, imagine him in Vegas with all the gold chains and all the casinos. And, man,
He's been balling, dude. I can't even like trash the guy because he's been looking good. I can't,
nah,
the beginning of
he's
the
a hell of
season, I
a
was
hell of a
like,
talent.
yeah, man. I wasn't sure about him at the beginning of the season. I was like, I don't know, like he's gonna have to prove it this year. Like he's not guaranteed anything, but he's brought it. So he's gonna be a top 5 pick. It looks like.
Yeah, I think he's a real deal. Like I really like him. Like obviously the NFL is a different beast. I'm
For
not
sure.
saying he's gonna go in there and dominate from the start. Like no one really does that, but I think he's a real deal. I think Shador and yeah, no, but I know that was kind of random, but I had to bring it up. A lot of people have been talking about it, like about the Sanders,
Absolutely.
going to the NFL together or whatever. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Just clicks and stuff. At this point,
That's true.
they have a
But
lot
yeah,
more
man.
for them. We'll see.
Nah, but yeah, man. Anything else? Any other thoughts, bro? College football?
No, I think we got a lot in. I kind of hashed my grievances with some of the committee's stuff. We're pretty upset with them, but thank you guys for coming to my TED Talk, my Rob Talk. But
Yeah.
anything else you got to say before we wrap up?
Nah, man. Pretty much. I mean, yeah. I already, I talked about already, but yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's in our hands, and yeah, they better come out fiery, man. Saturday, final home game of the year against Wake Forest. Who I haven't watched Wake Forest, so I'm not gonna lie. Like I have no idea what type of team they are, like what they do on offense. I don't really know. But at the end of the day, it's not my job. It's the coaching staff of to be to be prepared and ready to go. But I don't know. I do feel good. I don't think this is like the same old let down. I don't think it's one of those scenarios. Like I do believe, but like the type of veteran leadership, like not just on like for the coaches, but I, like Cam Ward and a couple of these veterans we have. I do think they're like real leaders. And through action, and I think we're gonna be fine. But yeah, that's kind of some final thoughts I want to put out there. Yeah, I don't think this is like the same old thing, another letdown. And I think we're gonna bounce back against Wake Forest, and I think the Syracuse game I think will be closer than the Wake Forest game. I think Syracuse is like they have a good record, but I feel like they might be even better than what their record actually is. I think Syracuse have a great offense, and that environment I think like is one of the most underrated. Like I've never been there, but I have a coworker like from a past job I did, writing articles online. She goes to school over there, and I see all the videos, and like man, they have a like great school spirit over there, and it looks like a tough environment to play in, Syracuse.
Yeah, in that dome,
So,
I believe.
but yeah, man. But now I'll wrap up, our college football talk, and I was gonna say just for all of you out there, like next week we'll be off. I'm gonna be for the podcast. It's gonna be an interview that I recorded a couple weeks ago. And yeah, because we're gonna all the traveling, Thanksgiving time, So next week there'll be no college football talk, but hopefully the following week, we'll report back to you, and yeah, that'll be immediately after the regular season ends. So
Yeah.
that should be a freaking exciting episode in a couple weeks, man.
Yeah, can't wait till then. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Much love and much blessing, man. Thank you for having me
For
again,
sure.
bro.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Flame Entertainment and Sports. I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts on the semifinals of Dancing with the Stars. Hope you enjoyed hearing me talk some college football with Paul. And just to give some little quick thoughts, I didn't want this episode to be too long. So the Dolphins, we pick up our second win. Our fourth win of the year, our second win in a row. Pick up a big, dominating victory against the Raiders here at home. We are now 4-6, one game out of the wild card. Now we host the New England Patriots this Sunday here at home. Then we go to Green Bay. Then we come back at home against the Jets. We're playing our best ball of the season right now. It was another tremendous game for the offense. Tua did amazing. Jonnu Smith had a huge game with 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill did great. Devon Achane keeps doing amazing. The offensive line keeps getting better. Mike McDaniel is improving as a play caller and a coach. But unfortunately, the defensive scheme or play calling of Anthony Weaver did return. That Rams game was his best performance, but unfortunately against the Raiders gave us flashbacks to all the other games we've had this year. So ultimately, we need Weaver and the defense to turn around for this upcoming AFC East, division game against New England this weekend on Sunday here at 1:00 at Hard Rock Stadium. But yeah, I just wanted to, be sure to give some quick thoughts on the Dolphins, as I usually talk more on them, but like I said, I didn't want to make this such a long episode. But yeah, I hope you guys all have a great, Thanksgiving. Next week we'll be releasing a great interview, and super excited for you all to hear it. But yeah, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at @theflame_ES. Until next time, everyone, take care.